All right, here we go. Another day in boat life. We're in West Palm Beach. We were lifting the anchor in order to make our departure to the Bahamas when the electric windlass took a dump, for lack of a better way to put it. Uh, we are going to have to replace the gearbox and the motor. Luckily, we found one on Amazon, which can be here in 2 days. So we are now preparing for the arrival of the new gearbox and motor. So I thought I'd walk you through the steps on how we are going to do that, or how I'm going to do that. All right, for step number one, of course, I ended up just taking the top part of everything apart because I want to do an overhaul at the same time while we're at it. Now, there's a few parts I've already taken off. This is just for illustration purposes. I'm going to take all of this off. That leaves with just the shaft sticking up above deck. Now, the new replacement motor and gearbox are a new upgraded version, but are supposed to be a direct fit. Now, down below, we can kind of see what the problem is. There's supposed to be metallic structure going from here up to these bolts right there, and all of that had corroded over the years, and when we put a lot of strain on the anchor bringing it up, it just snapped it all off, so that the whole motor is rotating like crazy. Now, I've already disconnected all the electrical cables, made sure the power is off, and now the problem becomes how to get the gearbox motor off of that shaft. Now, there is a keyway down inside of here from what I've been told, and there's the bottom of the shaft there, right there, but it's kind of frozen in place, so we're gonna do our best to try to break that free. First step, they say, is probably to load it up with some penetrating oil. All right, now we're using coil only because online it claimed this is like the best, also the most expensive penetrating oil on the planet Earth. So we will give this a shot, let this sit for a while, and then come back to it. All right, cool. Now, from the best I can tell, this shaft at this point should have dropped directly down since all the mounting bolts are done. And you can see I'm wiggling it. It does not want to come down. It's also supposed to separate from the gearbox itself, which I'm not seeing that happen either. So I have lubricated everything up as best I can. I'm going to do a little tapping here and see what happens. All right, when all else fails, get out the hammer. Let's see what happens. I'm seeing a little upward motion. All right, I'm going to tap it from above deck. So next we're going to just try unbolting it from the deck. See what happens there. So, let's see here. The shaft that comes down from the top is stuck in the motor. There's a keyway at the bottom, but I guess it's the aluminum and stainless steel issue that always crops up on boats. I can't seem to drive this off, and we're going to watch this. Where'd my hitter go? Here it is. All right, I think after a lot of hammering and banging, it's starting to come out. I can see the top part of the keyway. Looks like I'm making some progress. I'm using this cold chisel to get it down. I think we're going to get it. Look at there! We got it! Finally! We have disassembled the entire deck unit on this Concept 2 Windlass and cleaned everything thoroughly with acetone. We're getting ready to reassemble it. Everything looks in good condition. Don't need any new fresh parts here, so I'm going to show you how we do this. Alright, here we go. We're going to put the top deck plate back together. Just follow the directions on the exploded view here. And it's always a good idea to maybe take some photographs of a project like this so that you don't have to rely on your memory to put it all back together. But in this case, there's really only one way most of these pieces will go on. Now, this first piece here, it's kind of a Delrin washer to reduce friction. I don't know for a fact if this requires lubrication, but I am going to do it anyway, just because I'm thinking more lube the better. Maybe not always true, but I'm going to put a little bit around on here. I don't think it needs a whole lot on this. Put this on there and turn it around a little bit. And we've got one more washer. And looks like the next piece going in here. This little puppy right there. And now here comes our actual gypsy, the thing that handles the chain. Now this is in two parts. Looks like they're identical. So I don't think it matters too much which one's which. So I'm going to put this one here.
Doesn't look right.
That doesn't look right, does it? Let's turn it over. Again, only one way this will go.
Where's that other little washer right there go?
Now here's a point. There is a correct way for this to go. Because these holes are drilled all the way through. These are tapped. So, put that on. This on.
What about this other
This is
one
the
over here?
tapped one.
Oh, sable.
Alright, that looks a little bit better. These screws pass through the top part. Thread into the lower part. Getting ahead of myself. This is the stripper, the chain stripper. It's got to go on there next. Looking good so far. Now for the drum, I'm going to put just a little bit of grease there. Not that this is a moving part or anything, but it might make it a little easier for disassembly later if I need to. A little on the threads. Now, the shaft has sunk back down. I'm going to need to work it back up a little bit. There we go. Got one washer and the cap. And there you have it. It's all back together. Well, with the exception of the cover, but I'm going to hold off on that until we get the chain rerouted. So, top half is all done. I'm waiting on the new gearbox and motor for the bottom. That should be in here tomorrow. we can finally get back underway. The new motor and gearbox for the Windlass, the Lewmar Concept 1 Windlass, which is also the same motor and gearbox as the much newer V2. I've seen some improvements in it. I think this is going to be an easy slip-on fit. There's 3 terminals on the back here. Your center one is your ground that comes straight from your battery bank. Your 1 and your 2 have to do with your forward or reverse on the Windlass. In our case, we're only hooking up 1. Our anchor will not deploy automatically anyway. We have to come to the deck to give it a kickstart, so having power out doesn't really help us. So anyway, here we go. Our deck happens to be constructed with a layer of fiberglass and then 3/4 inch plywood and then more fiberglass. So we've got an aluminum backing plate just to give it a little more strength here. So that goes up on the studs first. All right, we've got the motor slipped up into place. Now the trick is to get all the nuts and washers on it, which is relatively easy unless you have big fat fingers. All right, flat washer, lock washer, and the nut. Okay, these nuts for tightening it to the deck can only be done with an open end wrench. There's not enough room in there to get a socket. So we do this times 4. Alright, we've got our power cables routed over. I've already got the ground connection hooked up. This is going to be the power coming from the solenoid. Notice I've stripped the wire back of insulation. Got my terminal sitting on there. Put heat shrink tubing on the wire before I put the fitting on here. It makes it a little bit easier, plus our protective cap. And so the next step is to actually do the crimp, and this is where it just becomes a question of muscle power, unless you're lucky enough to have a hydraulic unit, which I do not, but this will work. Okay, that's got a pretty good crimp on that. I'm going to slide this over. The heat shrink I chose is a tad big for the wire, but looks like it's going to shrink up okay. There we go. Oh yeah, it's going to look nice. It's hooking on there good. All right. Next step. Let's bring this over here to the number 1 terminal. This would be our bring the anchor in terminal. That's all we're going to use on this installation. Let's get it back here. I've left a little bit of slack in the cable just because I don't like to make everything too super tight. So the job is done. New motor and gearbox installed, wiring cleaned up, outside parts all lubricated and adjusted. It's time for the moment of truth. Let's see what happens. Hey, that looks like it's supposed to look. Yeah. Drop to 25. Just run just a little bit, getting it over the top. Ta-da!